Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Shirani. Today I'm going to show you how to make Belizean chicken tamales. For this recipe, I'm using a whole chicken that I cut up and washed. If you want to see how to cut up a whole chicken, I have a video doing that. I'm going to leave it linked below if you want to check that out. Now this is totally up to you on how you want to cut your chicken, but when I'm making tamales, I like to cut the meat a little bit smaller than if I was making stewed chicken. Just because I don't like big pieces of meat in my tamales, I like to mix it up with the bony part of the meat and like the breast, so I always cut it a little bit smaller. Plus, you want to get as much tamales as you can out of one chicken. With this, I got about 18 tamales, but it all depends on how big you cut your chicken and how much you put in your tamales. That's how much you're going to get. It's always around 16 or 18 for me. As always, I'm going to have the exact measurements listed in the description box below for you. Okay, so let's season the chicken. To this, I'm going to add some seasoned salt, and this is the one I like to use. I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons. I'm adding some complete seasoning, and this is the one I like to use as well. I'm adding 1.5 tablespoons. Next, I'm adding half of a tablespoon of black pepper. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of ground cumin. You can add anywhere from 1 teaspoon to 1.5 teaspoon. It depends on how strong your cumin is. Next, I'm going to add 2 large cloves of chopped garlic. And the last thing is half a cup of chopped onion. Mix that really well so the chicken could get coated with the seasoning. For those of you who don't know, I have a tamales video out already. It's made with pork and store-bought masa, but I was getting so many requests from you guys if I could please do a video using Maseca, because a lot of you can't find masa where you live, well, especially the people in the States, so this one is for you. With my pot set over medium heat, I'm going to add my chicken. And I'm not putting any oil in the pot just because I don't need it. I'm using a non-stick pot and I'm leaving the skin on the chicken so it doesn't need any oil. I'm going to let this cook until the meat starts to get brown. The one thing to know about making chicken tamales is the meat is very delicate, especially if you cut it into really small pieces, so you don't want to turn up your meat a whole lot, otherwise it's going to break up and you don't want that. But just go in there and stir it in between. So let's talk Maseca. If you don't know what Maseca is, it's instant corn masa flour. That's all it is, and you just have to mix it with water. If you've watched my other tamales video, you'll know that I like to blend up some of the corn with my seasoning. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix this up, that way I know how much corn I'm using. So in my bowl, I have 2¼ cups of Maseca, and I'm adding 2 cups of water to it. And I'm just going to mix this until everything is combined. I just want to weigh it out so you can see how much it is, and this is a little bit more than 1.5 pounds. Okay, so let's talk achiote and recado. They are basically the same thing, just that one of them has spices in it. And this is mainly for color. It's not going to give your dish a whole lot of flavor, but mainly to color it. This is how the achiote looks when you buy it in Belize. Well, at least where I come from in PG, this is how you would buy it at the market. And it always comes in a used coffee bottle, so you know it's authentic. And this is only $5, so that's $2.50 US. And this thing lasts forever because a little bit goes a long way. Now the achiote we get here is what we would call recado in Belize. I know it's spelled achiote, but as Belizeans we say achiote. So the achiote and the recado is the same thing. And I just want to show you that you can use either one to make your tamales, because a lot of people can't get the kind like we get back home in Belize, and this is more easily available, so you can make it with either one. Your tamales is just not going to look as red as if you were using the one like we get in Belize, but it will still be good. So it all depends on which one you're using. If you're using the Belizean achiote, you don't want to use too much, otherwise your tamales is going to be too red and it could end up tasting a little bit bitter, so don't overdo it on this one. Something about eating your tamales with the cull looking red just makes me happy. I don't know, maybe it's because that's the way I grew up eating tamales, and I feel like if it's not red it's not going to be nice. But it still is, it's just in my head, you know, that's just what I'm used to. With this one, you're going to use a lot more than if you're using the Belizean one. It's not going to look as red, but it's still going to be good. Now this sazon is something I like to add to my tamales. This is not something my mom would have used, but I love it and I just feel like it adds so much more flavor to the tamales. So if you can get your hands on this, you need to put this in your tamales. And then for your tamales, you're going to need some culantro. And I want to show you again, for the people that don't know, this is what culantro looks like. It's not the same as cilantro. They are two different things and they taste different. A little tip for you, when you bring your culantro home, just take it and wrap it up in some paper towels and then put it in a Ziploc bag, and it will last a long time. I think this lasts about 2 weeks or a little bit more. Usually if you just leave it in a bag just like that and put it in the fridge, it goes bad really fast. I also do this with cilantro or any herbs that I buy, and they just last so much longer. I just went ahead and washed my culantro and cut it up before I use it. In my last video, I showed you how to make the tamales with lard, but in this video, I use shortening. So I just want to show you that you can use different things and you will still get a good result. I just measure out how much I need and then I microwave it before I use it. You just want your shortening or your lard to be melted. While you're getting everything ready, don't forget to stir your pot. You don't want your meat to break up, but you want it to get brown. Okay, so let's make the cull or the red sauce. To my blender, I'm going to add half of the maseca that I mixed earlier. I'm going to add some water to that. You just want to add enough water to that to cover the corn. And like I said, I'm going to have the exact measurements listed below for you. If you don't know already, I have measurements for all my videos in the description box of each video. To the blender, I added about a tablespoon of the achiote paste. Next, I'm adding about a half a cup of chopped culantro. I'm adding 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, and I like to buy my tomato paste in a tube. It's just easier to store that way. I'm adding 1 whole hot pepper, and if you don't like it spicy, you don't have to put pepper, you can skip it, but this pepper just makes it so good. This one is not really that hot, but it just gives it a good flavor. I'm adding 3 packs of this Sazón. They need to sponsor me or something because I'm always using their seasoning. I just love it so much. It adds so much flavor to things. I use it in my panadas, my salbutes, my tamales, my crab soup. I use it in everything. Now I'm just going to cover this and blend this for a good minute. I just want everything to blend really good. Now that my meat is nice and brown, I'm going to add the CULL or the red sauce to it. I'm adding some more water to the pot because I don't want it to stick. I'm using 8 cups of water total, and that includes the water in the blender. So you have to work really fast when you're doing this because it will stick to the pot and you need to keep stirring it. Now I'm just going to blend the next half of the corn with some more water. I'm adding it to the pot and then I'm just going to stir this until this mixture thickens. You don't want to leave your pot, you have to keep stirring it because you don't want it to clump up. You want to cook this until it's really thick because when you put it in the tamales, you don't want it to run out. After it thickens up, that's when I like to go in there and add a little bit of salt. I just feel like that brings out all the flavors. This is just how I like it. Now I'm going to remove it from the heat and let it cool down, and then I'm going to work on the other part of the tamales. So in my bowl here, I have 2 3/4 cups of Maseca. To that, I'm going to add 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and then I'm just going to mix that around. Next, I'm going to add 3 1/4 cups of water. And I'm going to add 1/3 cup of the melted shortening. Mix that really well until everything is combined. This is something I came up with on my own. My mom didn't do it this way, but I feel like this just makes it a lot easier. You want to mix this until it's really smooth. You don't want to have any lumps in there. My arm was getting really tired, so hubby had to step in and help me stir it. So to wrap the tamales, I like to use aluminum foil. I know some people use the leaf, but I don't really care for the leaf. To be honest, I just like the foil, and it's easy and it's always available. Sometimes it's hard to find a leaf here where I live. You just want to tear the foil big enough to fit your tamales. The way I like to do this is to use 1 spoon of the masa per tamales. Now you can make this as thin or as thick as you want, it's up to you. But to me, 1 spoon is the perfect amount. So you just want to spread this out on your foil, and then you add the CULL mixture. When it comes to the meat, you add how much you want. So because this is a drumstick, I'm just adding 1 piece of meat in this tamales. But if it was a smaller piece, then I'll add a little bit more. So I'm just putting 1 piece of meat and 1 spoon of the CULL in this tamales. To wrap the tamales, you just want to lift up both ends of the foil and hold them together and then fold it over. And you want to do this as tight as you can and work as quick as you can because you don't want the filling to come out on the sides. Lift both ends of the foil up and then fold it over to seal the edges. I just like to go over it again and make sure everything is tightly sealed before I start on the next one. I'll do a couple more so you can see what I'm doing. One thing to know about doing this on aluminum foil, you don't want to get the cheapest foil out there. Otherwise, when you wrap the tamales, it's going to tear on you and you don't want that. Whenever I make tamales, I always have a little bit of leftovers, and I like to freeze it. Don't ever throw it away. You can always freeze it and use it for your next batch of tamales. Why waste a good thing? But it's always so good the next time. Just let it thaw out completely and then put it in the next amount you're making and you're good to go. You never have to waste it. If you're interested in any of the spices I use, like the seasoned salt, the achiote, or even these pretty bowls, I have them in my Amazon store, so I'm going to leave the link below if you want to check that out. Now these are ready for the freezer. To boil your tamales, you need the biggest pot you can find. So this is the biggest one I have, and it's a really thin pot, so I like to put down a piece of foil on the bottom before I add my tamales to it. Now I'm going to fill it with water, and you just want enough water in there to cover the tamales. To speed up the process, you can just go ahead and add hot water to your tamales, or you can just add your regular tap water. You want to let this come to a boil, and then lower your heat to medium and let this boil for 1 hour. So this is what it looks like after an hour. As you can see, the foil changed color, and that happens sometimes. It depends on the foil I buy. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. You want to let this cool down before you handle it, and that will just give it enough time to set up also, so at least 20 to 30 minutes before you open it. Well, here it is, the moment of truth. We've all been waiting for this. So this is what it looks like if you're making your tamales with Maseca versus the store-bought masa. You know, to be honest, I really can't tell any difference. It looks the same and it tastes the same to me. The only thing is it's not as red as I would like it to be, but other than that, it tastes really good. It's perfect. I wish I could describe to you how good this is. It's a little bit spicy. My hubby said it was too spicy for him, but for me, it was perfect. So if you don't like pepper, you can skip it, but I really think you need to put a little piece in there because it adds flavor to it. So just keep that in mind. I wanted to open another one so you can see what it looks like, and it's like a present every time because you never know what cut of the meat you're going to get. I like all the bony part. I like the neck, the wing, the backbone. And my hubby, he likes all the meaty parts, so we always even out each other. Well, I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. I enjoyed making it. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. That will really help out my channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. If you have not yet subscribed, please don't forget to do that. And I'll talk to you in my next one. Take care. Bye.